Okay. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Joe Padilla, and I'm with the Grace Alliance, and this is Grace Live, which is a webinar for Grace Group facilitators so that we can provide some helpful insights, tips, and Q&A. So use the Q&A button there, and I'll get to your questions later on in our webinar. So for this webinar, we're actually going to be covering a few things. One is, what is the core ingredient for an exceptional Grace Group experience? And then we're going to share a tip, an easy tip that you can use in your group to help relieve stress and anxiety. Okay, and then we're going to cover a question. What do you do when you have a member of your group and their mental health is getting worse and worse, and now it's disrupting the rest of the group and your experience there? So what do you do with that situation? So I'm going to, and of course, I'm going to cover any of the questions that you have throughout along the way and at the end of the webinar. So go ahead and just use the Q&A button there to write your questions, and again, use the chat button to make comments with each other or ask each other questions as well. All right, so let's get into our topic for today. Our first topic actually is what do you do with your Grace Group if you're not doing well, or if it's, and how do you understand of how do you have a great Grace Group? So what we want to look at is, what is the core ingredient to make your Grace Group exceptional, even if you feel that the group, it didn't even go well or it's not going well. And the key factor for that is the spirit of hospitality. Now, you can be a highly skilled, dynamic leader or anything like that, but without this, the group can be just mediocre. But you can be an underskilled, simple vanilla type of leader or facilitator, but when you have the spirit of hospitality, your group can be a very meaningful experience. Because if the skilled and dynamic person or whatever, the group is centered around their energy. But even if you're not that dynamic, if you are dynamic and if you're facilitating that spirit of hospitality, it really provides a meaningful experience. And again, even if you're not that dynamic leader or facilitator, and you're just simple vanilla, you can still have a great, meaningful experience because of this hospitality, okay? Now, many of you guys know that before Grace Alliance, I was in missions and ministry in North Africa, specifically in a Muslim country. And one of the things there in the culture is that every relationship was always built off of this hospitality. You couldn't go any deeper without first experiencing hospitality, giving and receiving. So with my team in North Africa, we didn't go out and evangelize or anything like that. I don't think we ever used the word evangelize. We actually just said, hey, we're going on visits. We're going to go visit our neighbor. We're going to go visit our friends. We're going to go visit, because the culture was set up that way, a very hospitable nature. And again, I can tell you some of the most incredible stories and even miracles that I've seen, but they all started from hospitality. Now think about it in the Western sense. If you go to a hotel and you have an experience at a hotel, why would you go back to that hotel and why would you not? And the essence of that is, did you feel cared for in their service and their comfort and all the things that they provided? And at the end of the day, every successful business creates a unique experience for their customer. And that is the basis of hospitality. And hospitality creates an experience of feeling cared for. All right. So what does a spirit of hospitality look like for Grace Groups? Okay. So here's an easy way to remember this. All right. We're going to use a little bit of an alliteration here. All right. So hospitality, okay. Hospitality is a shared passion. Let me start over. Hospitality is a shared PhD in passion. All right. So hospitality is a shared PhD in passion. And we're going to use a little an alliteration to break that down. So we're going to break down PhD, and then we're going to look at the passion part, okay? So this is an easy way for you to remember spirit of hospitality. So the first P, all right, in PhD is shared pain. A hospitable community of validating pain and comfort. This Grace Group is a place where suffering is okay. Suffering is not a bad thing. Okay, it doesn't mean that God's against you or abandoned you. It's okay. life is hard and life is difficult, especially when we're going through feeling anxious or depressed or overwhelmed and all those factors, whether we have a loved one or ourselves that are going through that. Because what the group does around that shared pain is it fosters empathy, compassion, and kindness for any suffering or pain. Okay? The second part is this, the H, the PH, okay? And that's shared hope. A hospitable community affirming our starting point is always goodness, not brokenness, okay? Think about a time when you have hope, right? There's just this sense of confidence and courage because of what? Something good is being realized and that I can have it. Okay, and that's what we're doing in this group, is that we're affirming that there is hope, that they themselves or in our journey is good. We are not in a brokenness journey. We're in a goodness, wholeness journey with God, and God is in that journey. And so through that group, we're providing that comfort, that place of reaffirming goodness for their lives so that they can feel that experience of having some confidence and courage because something good is being realized and that they can have it. Okay? Now, we have P, H, and now we come to the D. And the D stands for shared discovery. And the discovery part is always about empowerment. Okay? Shared discovery is a hospitable community who empowers each other's self-discovery. As you go through the materials, they bring self-awareness, they bring practical tools, and even new faith discovery for a lot of the members. And that's what we've seen through these groups, and the feedback and the testimonies that we're seeing is that people are having this new sense of awareness about their journey, and they're now having new tools, and the group is working on these together, empowering each other as they discover things. And they're having a new faith experience, and that faith experience is moving away from a harsh and fault-finding God to a God who says, peace be with you, don't be afraid. Okay, and they're discovering a new experience that God is for them, not against them. This illness or this mental health problem or this depression or whatever they're experiencing, they're discovering a good God who is in the journey. And this is a place for discovery for them within the group. So when I've facilitated groups before, because I'm the founder, I've helped put together these and develop these curriculums, they'll often ask me a lot of questions. But what I like to do in the group is often just turn it back to the group, and I'll just say, well, what do you guys think? They may point the question to me, and then I will just say, well, hey, what do you think? Or what do you guys think about that question? Because I want them to own the discovery, not just walk off everything I have to tell them. I want them to discover and feel the empowerment through this group. Hey, that's the discovery. And then now we get to that passion, PhD in passion. And that's a shared passion, a hospitable community who celebrates progress, ideas, desires, and rough days. We're celebrating those times when somebody comes into the group and says, you know what, I actually had one day this week, I just didn't feel any anxiety. And we're all like, yes, we totally get that. Praise God. And then, or somebody has a new job opportunity, or something about their faith experience, or something about themselves that they're realizing. And we're celebrating even on the days that they feel like they failed, or they even failures in the rough journey. Because in this group, we're giving that hospitable spirit of okayness to get back up. And I like what one person was saying, you know, God is the God of the plan A, the plan B, the plan C, the plan D, and he goes all the way down to plan Z. And if you need more letters, that's where Jesus comes in and says, well, let's start the alphabet all over again. Because Jesus is the one who's with us, that will always be with us through every plan A, plan B, plan Z, and going through the alphabet all over again. That's who he is in this, and that's what we're sharing, because we're sharing in that passion for each other. And so that's the hospitality is a PhD in shared passion. And we're modeling this PhD in passion, shared pain, hope, discovery, and passion, because at the end of the day, that's who Jesus is. And that's what sets the tone, and that's what's infectious about this group. And one of the things that we're seeing in this first quarter of 2019 is that on an average, 2 grace groups are being started every week. And so why? It's not because we have the breakthrough material, is because you guys are providing that experience and that community experience for those that come into the group. And so I'm not telling you what to do as far as hospitality. I'm only articulating what you guys are already doing. As Paul encouraged in 1 Thessalonians 4, 9, and 10, he was telling Thessalonians, you have no need for anyone to write you, for you yourselves are being taught by God to love one another. We're just urging you and encouraging to excel more in it. And so with this hospitality, I'm just encouraging you guys, this is what you're doing, this is what we're seeing, and this is why the groups are working all over the US and even around the world, is because the spirit of hospitality for people who are in this journey, in this place, whether it's a family member, a spouse, or an individual going through this, they're finding that hospitable spirit in your group, and it's making a difference in their lives. As you know, you probably heard people say, people don't remember what you teach them. They remember how you made them feel. And that's what's important about these groups. So let us know, what are the things that you do for that spirit of hospitality? You can make a comment in the chat here, and if you're watching the recorded version, just leave a comment and let us know what are the things that you are doing in your group that provide that spirit of hospitality that's really making your group special. And again, if you have certain questions or something, just ask a question on the spirit of hospitality, and we'll get to those later in our webinar. Okay. Now, here's a tip on how to lower stress and anxiety, whether you're the overwhelmed family or the spouse or the individual. And this is a simple little exercise that you can do in your grace group, okay? But you can do it at the start, you can do it at the end, and it's just something that you can add in for the group. And it only takes like 2 minutes, all right? And that simple exercise is so simple that it's profound, okay? And that simple exercise is just a gratitude exercise, all right? And if you're gonna do this, you want to talk about the benefits, because people want to hear the reasons why they wanted to try something like this, because they want to see the benefits. They want to hear. So, because I like what one article said, that practicing gratitude is literally because we can't function without grace. Okay, so the reason why gratitude is really, really important, and you can read different things on the internet. There's tons of studies and research on this, but you just say, hey, what gratitude does is it activates grace for our limbic system. Our limbic system is part of the brain for the memory, the emotions, and the moods, and our sense of arousal. So as we go through a gratitude exercise, what that actually is doing is activating our limbic system to calm down, to lower our stress reaction, and calming our nerves. So it's a constant practice to decrease anxiety, depression, and it increases optimism, happiness, okay? So that's why a simple exercise like this helps. Another benefit is it provides grace for our bodies. Within that limbic system, it's calming that whole factor that plays into our hypothalamus, creating more stability for regulating sleep, our appetite, our metabolism. And so what it's doing is helping to lower the stress hormones being released in our bodies, okay? So it actually is aiding and helping to get better sleep and better deep sleep, okay? If you want good sleep, how much are you practicing gratitude, all right? It's even I do that. Even as I'm going to sleep and I'm trying to doze off, I'll go through some of the things I'm thankful for and I'm grateful for, things like that, okay? And another benefit is it's just grace for a constant reward feeling. Okay, this is what's really cool, because what happens when you're doing a gratitude exercise, you kind of do this, it's releasing the dopamine within the brain. Okay, this is a neurotransmitter that helps feel that reward or that good. Basically it's that neurotransmitter, that dopamine is being released. It's just telling you, hey, do it again, that feels good. Do it again, that feels good. This actually reminds me of the scene, if you guys are familiar with The Lion King, and the hyenas and the Scar, they're all talking, and the hyenas, they say the name Mufasa, because Mufasa's the king lion and everything. And so the hyena says Mufasa, and then one of the other hyenas, the bad ones, says, ooh, say that again, Mufasa. Ooh, say it again, Mufasa. Okay, And the reason for that is it causes everything to calm down, and the brain gets addicted to that. Even in that simple picture there in The Lion King, these hyenas, they're bad, they're the evil ones, but they have such a good feeling when they say the king's name. Okay. All right, and one last thing, the last thing is that gratitude literally changes it's like a pharmaceutical chemistry brain change against the stress and other brain fog that's going on. So just doing a simple exercise in the group is so key for helping to, hey, these are things that we can practice, so let's practice this in the group. It just takes 2 minutes. And you can just say, hey, if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes and let's just think about, hey, what was the best thing that happened today? Okay, and just let them just sit there for a second, 30 seconds, just take a deep breath, close your eyes if you want, if you feel comfortable, and just think about what was the best thing that happened today. Or you could ask another question, what or who makes you feel so alive and good, and why? Okay. Well, and I love this other question is one person, I like this question. They said, what do you have in your life that money just can't buy? Answer those questions and just think about those and just let your mind rest on those things. And that's just an easy way of just practicing gratitude and that things that you're grateful for. As one research paper was looking at, the reason why everybody feels so good on Thanksgiving is not because of the tryptophan in the turkey, it's because we're thankful. And it's the spirit of Thanksgiving. It's that gratitude, okay? And that's what's so important. And so that's a real simple tip that you can do in your group, and you can practice that, okay? So if you have something that you guys do on a regular basis, let us know. Make it, chat and let us know what you do, or if you've had that experience, how that's worked out in your group, or just leave a comment, okay? Now, so for our last little point here, and so now we've got a situation. This is a question that's come up a couple of times in the last couple of months here, and this doesn't come up a lot, but what happens when you have a group member they've been attending for a while, but now their mental health condition is actually declining. They're getting worse, and they're now in a place where they're just causing a little bit more disruption in the group. It's getting hard to manage, but you don't want to ask them to leave, because if you ask them to leave, then you feel like you're rejecting them, and then you're like telling the rest of the group, well, if you're sick, then you're going to get rejected too. So you're just in this conundrum of like, what do I do? I don't want to tell them that they leave, and I don't want to make them feel rejected, but that, it just causes all this dynamic. So what do you do? And so what does the spirit of hospitality look like in that situation? Okay, we're going back to that. All right. That's a big question. That's a good one. But that's all the time we have today, so I hope you figure it out. All right. Thank you for attending. No, just kidding. All right. All right. So what do you do with that? Okay. All right. So here's practically, you have to understand that the Grace Group is a small group setting. It is not a therapy support group. All right. Okay, so in a small group setting like this, you as a facilitator have to feel comfortable what you're managing within your group. When it goes beyond your training or your skills or your ability to function with the group and that situation, that's when that individual needs to leave the group and go to a group that is more structured for that type of condition that they're facing. Okay, and now that can sound really rude and unkind, but let me explain why this is the case. Okay, because their condition, first of all, as we said, is beyond your skills to manage that individual, and it's causing so many group dynamics that now you're going to lose the other group members because they don't want to come because now it's uncomfortable. A lot of times if you have someone who's visiting the group and they see the individual, they have no basis, have no relationship, and they don't understand what's going on, and that can be a very intimidating situation, so they don't want to come back to the group. So again, you want the group to be easy to manage. Now, I've had that condition and that situation in my group, and so I function with those individuals, and I allow them, and I'm able to manage the group to the level that I feel comfortable I'm managing that. so some of you as group facilitators can manage much more than what I can, or much less than what I can. We're all on the spectrum. So, but as you as a facilitator, you have to manage what you feel comfortable with. And if it moves beyond what you feel comfortable and you can see that it's disrupting your group, and you can't manage that, then that's when you have to step in and get the person to not return to the group, okay? Now, and here's why, okay? And we're going to get, this is all going to balance out. So part of that is that the individual, when they start declining in that situation, they're unable to process the material and the discussion. As some of you have had these situations, and myself, they can't they can't process the material, and the discussion goes this way and that way, and you're trying to constantly pull it back in, but they're just so off that they're not able to participate, and that's what makes it a very difficult dynamic in the group. And then the other issue with this is that the material can actually be a little bit more triggering for them because they're not able to process very well with that. So so that's where it gets really difficult. So that's why, with the situation, we want to help them find another group, okay? We're not cutting them off. We're getting them into the right place where they need to be. So we need to help them find a therapy group that is structured around those challenges and those conditions with a trained professional who can handle that type of situation, okay? All right, so that's where you're looking for an IOP, which is an intensive outpatient program, or other therapy type of structured groups that they can go to. So if you don't know where those are, then that's something you can reach out to NAMI, which is in many of your areas, or just reach out into your community and different mental health resources to ask, hey, are there some more therapy support groups where this individual can go? You want to help them transition. You don't want to cut them off. Okay, so help them transition to a place where they can be a little bit in a safer place as far as the dialogue, and with a trained professional that can manage with them. And you're not rejecting them from the group, and because you're not cutting off relationship, okay? So this is where, as a facilitator, you want to try to stay in touch with them. This isn't about, hey, you can't come to the group, so we're cutting off you from all relationship. It's just we want to get you into the right place where you need to be, but I'm going to be in contact with you. And you can call them every once in a while. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, give us an update. Hey, how you doing, and what's going on? And and you can update the group as well. And then as in the future, they can come back to the group as they feel more settled, and be able to participate well again. And you're not communicating rejection to the group. It's actually just doing the opposite. You're communicating loving support. This is the right thing to do, because keeping them in the group prevents them getting the therapeutic intervention. And so they're actually being in the group is going to enable them just to try to get worse, and they're not going to get into the right place where they need to be, but they'll stay in your group, and it just causes this downturn. Now, again, I have done this in our programs and things like that, because it's just the right thing to do. It's not rejection. It's not rejection of the group or the individual, but it's relationally and staying in a place where the group can function in that small group, simple manner with where you guys are as a group. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully that's helpful as we've reviewed the spirit of hospitality for the group, a simple gratitude exercise you can do for a group, and then how you can handle situations within your group that with individuals that seem to be declining and causing some disruption in the group. All right.